Hello, my Facebook beauties. How are you all doing today in your respective isolation pads? I hope you're all doing really well. So, I wasn't really expecting to be back quite so soon, to be honest with you, but I felt so compelled to share some really important information that I learned just the other day, it's about 3 days ago, courtesy of my phenomenal astrology teacher, May Sim. So I attended a 6-hour webinar, which was freaking incredible. I loved every second of it. And of course, she was talking about the current situation and most importantly, what we can expect for from the rest of the year. And I really wanted to share with you the salient points because, well, first of all, I want to tell you actually that, I have no idea what day is it today? What day is it? No, it's irrelevant. But on the Saturday, the 25th of April, May will be repeating this webinar. So the details I'm going to put in this post. So if you are interested to hear the full shebang, then I really recommend that you get on board. It's free. It's phenomenally interesting. It really is. It's just like, wow. And yeah. It's if this is something that you want to know more about, then I really recommend that you jump on board. But I know that, and this is part of the reason I really wanted to put out this video, or May and I agreed that I would put out like a condensed version of the seminar, because I know a lot of you guys are in Europe or in the UK or whatever, so you're not really in the same time zone. So we are going through huge shifts, like obviously. But there are more shifts to come. There are more shifts to come. And by the way, this isn't just information that I have learned. Well, actually, what I'm going to be talking about for most part of this video is a condensed version of May Sim's webinar. So all the astrological information is coming from May. But also, I have been quite aware of this thanks to my plant medicine ceremonies, thanks to the plants and the spirits that have given me this kind of information in slightly different ways, but I'll share a little bit about that at the end. But this is no woo-woo stuff, guys. This is down to painstaking calculations. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information on May herself. Actually, before I go on to that, I just want to say that okay, so this is not just about COVID-19, yeah? May is not saying, and neither do I believe, that we're going to be going around for the rest of the year wearing masks. In fact, you know what? This is the advice, fundamental advice that's going to come out of this video is that in order to transition into this new era that we're moving into as of 22nd of December 2020, is that we remove our masks. What do I mean by that? Well, I'll tell you. But before I go on, let's just say that this is not just about COVID-19, because what we're experiencing at the minute, all of this disruption, is not the full picture. It's just a wave, and actually what we're heading for is a freaking tsunami. Huge structural change, like massive. Woo! Yes, and you know what? This is the thing, guys. We have wanted this, right? We wanted change. This is what we've been praying for. How many years have we talked about it? We want a change in government. The corporations, the powers that be. We want to change. Well, actually, the change is coming. There's going to be it's almost like the earth is being completely dug up. All the foundations of the earth, everything that we have ever known in our lifetimes, everything that we've been familiar with is being dug up, really dug up in order for new soil, for the new era to be born. I'm not saying it's going to be painless, because change, true transformation is never painless, is it? You have to go through some really gnarly stuff to get to see the light, to get to the light. We will get to the light, but we will only get to the light if we follow the light and we are prepared to transition alongside the changes. So we need to be riding the wave we need to be preparing for this tsunami. I mean, as May said, okay, so apparently, according to her calculations, right, there's going to be a lull somewhere. It's June and July, so I'm assuming the assumption is that perhaps the situation is going to calm down a little bit, that perhaps borders are going to start opening again. People are going to start moving around. However, and perhaps people will start to think, we're going to start to think, oh, great, we're back to normal. Well, no, that's a red flag. That's the Trojan horse right there, as May said. Because actually, I just want to mention this. She said to me in a WhatsApp message just the other day, sometimes I feel like Cassandra warning everybody about the fall of Troy, and there's a danger that no one's going to take heed. We need to take heed. And it's actually a very exciting time if we really dig deep alongside this, everything that's going on, and transition along with the changes that are going to be happening that we've actually been praying for. And so then we can go into 2021, into this new era, in a completely different way. It will be really phenomenal and really exciting, and I really want you to come with me. But as May said, but come with us, don't be the one standing on the shore, taking photos of the tide going out, going, wow, look at this, I'm going to show all my friends. Because when that thing comes crashing in, and the date was around about August, so basically from August onwards, and we're talking mainly about the economy here, okay? Because entire industries are going to be going down the chute, entire corporations, the big boys, they're going down. But when that thing comes crashing in August, you're going to have nowhere to run to, and things are going to start happening at breakneck speed from August onwards. And so there's a need to prepare, there's a need to be aware, and there's a need to not sit on our laurels and hope for everything to go back to normal. Because number one, that's not what we really want, is it? Do we really want things to go back to how they were? I mean, I know I don't. To be honest with you, I can barely hide my glee at the minute. I know it's painful. I know it's, what's going to happen? But this is big structural change, and it's really important, and it's what we want fundamentally. I was talking to my stockbroker, my financial advisor, and a lot of people are hoping for things to go back to normal, which is kind of normal in a sense. It's understandable. Like my stockbroker was saying, because I've got money in stocks and shares, and he was saying, well, things go in cycles. Things go up, things go down, things crash, and then they rise again, they recover. And that's the order of things. That's the old order of things. We think this is maybe a cyclical change because, quite frankly, that's the only pattern that we've ever known in our lifetime. We've never known a structural change before. And what I mean by what May means, because as I said, this information is coming from the webinar. What May means by structural change is the fact that this is a death of an entire era. We've never seen anything like this before. We have never seen anything like this before. And like I said, entire industries are going down. Big corporations are going down. It's going to be massive. It's going to be huge. So I want to say a few things about May. First, I just want to give her a little bit of an accolade because she's arguably the best astrologer in the world. And this is because she works painstakingly with calculations. She's Singaporean for a start, so it's hardly a country that's renowned for its mystical, magical beliefs. This is a corporate metropolis. She works with astrological calculations. She works with mathematics. So the numerological patterns that exist in charts, which incidentally is what Pythagoras brought to the table. You know, he's not just the triangle guy as I thought he was at school. God's school, you know, the things they taught us. You know, Pythagoras, as many of you already know, you know, he was incredible philosopher, numerologist. He was into astrology as well, and the whole universe is made up of vibration and of number. So May works painstakingly with these calculations, with number and with patterns and with historical patterns and with indicators that all stack up. And basically the upshot is, well, she comes to unbelievably accurate predictions. I mean, it's incredible. And that is why, in fact, she's sought after by so many. I mean, everyone who she's sought after in Singapore, I mean, top industrial professionals, even the Singaporean government, they all go to her for no-nonsense advice, because she is no-nonsense. She's no psychic. She's no psychic at all. But she's a phenomenal astrologer, and last year she made many predictions. She said that 2020 would be the death of an era, many industries would die, and 2021 would be the birth of a new era. And she also, in January this year, she led a talk in Singapore that told everybody that shortly after Chinese New Year, a wave would hit Singapore. And guess what? Shortly after Chinese New Year, the first Covid-19 case was brought to light in the country. So, yep, she's pretty damn accurate. So I'm going to be telling you about what she talked about, so what we can expect. So let's talk about, hang on, let me just scroll down here. Okay, so yep, life is never going to be the same again. We've never seen anything like this before. What is this structural change? Let's talk about that, shall we? What is this death of an entire era? Well, basically, you know, before I've talked about all the Capricorn planets being in stellium, Capricorn indicating the patriarchy and big business and structure and money and all of that. And of course we've had Uranus, we still have it, Uranus in Taurus, so Uranus is the planet of shock and chaos and revolution, and Taurus is the planet, the sign that rules, amongst other things, money and the earth itself. But the main factor in all of this, and the main factor is the fact that this year we're moving into a completely different element. We're moving from earth into air, and this is why we're going to be going through this structural change. The actual date for the transition, the full transition, is the 22nd of December of this year, and that's when we're going to be going. It's called the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, and it's going to be happening in Aquarius. We're still in Earth at the minute. But the Earth, all the systems of the Earth, everything that we've ever known, like I said, so corporations, big business, money, structure, the patriarchy, everything is going to be crumbling. And we're going to be moving into the air mindset. And we really need to move along with it. So, yeah, these shifts don't happen very often because they're freaking cataclysmic. So the last shift, let's talk about this last shift. Let's go back into history. It's really interesting. This is like really fascinating. So the last time the universe shifted its elemental structure, it was in the 1800s. It was 1821. So from 1742 to 1821, we were in the element of fire. So since then we've been in the element of earth, but then we were in the element of fire. Now, what does fire represent? If you think about the signs, the Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, fire represents glory, it represents honor, courage, self-expression, grandeur, art, music, passion, exploration. And what was going on back then? Well, the world was run by kings and queens. People battled, people fought for beliefs and for their faith and for passion. And art and music flourished. This is the era of Mozart and Shakespeare and Beethoven. You know, the world was very showy and very, very grand up until 1842, when we shifted into earth. And then at that point, well, the whole era crumbled. It was the death of that era. And it was no longer about kings and queens anymore. We moved into the Industrial Revolution. So we were no longer subjects of the king and queen. We became workers. And as a result, like entire industries died. So, for example, any jobs, any industries that were popular back in the fire era, were now no longer valid. They were no longer respected. I'm talking about religion. I'm talking about philosophy. I'm talking about art, music. I mean, even recently, if you told your parents you're going to be an artist, they'll be like, what? There's no money in that. You're going to be a poor, starving artist for the rest of your life. And you need to be a lawyer, you need to be a doctor, you need to have credentials, you need to have education, all earth stuff, right? So it was the death of all of that. And I can attest to this. And most people can attest to this. And for 7 years, I owned a burlesque cabaret supper club in London. And we had amazing performers, but, for the most part, they were paid a pittance. Because in the earth era, it was all about money. So instead of the fire industries, which also included, of course, serving the king and queen, if you were lucky enough to get a job in the palace, well, you were considered to have made it. Wow. I'm talking about handmade things, what else, like gunpowder, horses, because of course in the Industrial Revolution the automobile was invented, and suddenly no one was getting around by horse anymore. So yeah, it was the death of entire industries. Careers that were highly sought after and encouraged were now no longer profitable or respected. So the earth era, so the Industrial Revolution, and then we've been in that era ever since. And so we were subjects of the king and queen, and then we became workers. And so everything became about money, about corporations. This, in this era, we've experienced the rise of super corporations. Everything has been about maximizing efficiency and productivity, about getting to the top, about kind of like being with the big guns, like big corporations. All the countries that have got to the top of their game is because they've got money. Everything's been about being bigger, faster, stronger, more powerful. Well, all that's set to change. All that is set to change because we're moving into the air era. And so, yeah, it's different. So if Earth symbolizes money and industry, then air, what does air symbolize? Well, amongst other things, it symbolizes community and it symbolizes technology. Now, interestingly enough, we actually had a sneak peek about how life would look in the air era. So in the, when was it? 18? It was in 1981 until the year 2000. Jupiter and Saturn met. They had this grand conjunction and it was in Libra. And basically what happened in that time, well, the 3.5-inch floppy disk was invented, and then children became obsessed with all these like little games. So we had like Super Mario, we had Pac-Man. I mean, I know for one, I was really obsessed with a little game called Snoopy Tennis. So all of those games were invented. And of course, it's not to say that no one played with dolls anymore. I mean, I know I was obsessed with my dolls, but the industry was starting to change. It was in this period, in this era, that the digital camera was invented, the telephone, the World Wide Web, and everything was free until the year 2000, when we moved back into Earth, and suddenly technology represented something that we could make money out of. So then everything came with a pricing plan. Facebook now is really less of a social media thing and more of a marketing tool, really, isn't it? I mean, we are all kind of obsessed about optimizing our keywords. And YouTube is a way in which we can make, well, people can make millions and millions of dollars. Because we're still in the Earth era, but we are moving completely into air. So like I said, this is going to be happening in 8 months on the 22nd of December. And it's going to be called, I don't know why I say it's going to be called, it is called the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, and it's happening in Aquarius. So, how can we make it into the air era in these like 8 months? You know, what can we do? How can we prepare? Because we're actually going into the digital revolution, and a lot of things that we held valuable before are just not going to be valuable anymore. Key concepts for the air era, any kind of technology for community and for community benefit. So this is not going to be about making money, because we're actually moving away from the earth era. We're moving into air, which is about community and actually helping each other. So look, there's no easy way to say this, but this is what's going to be happening. Entire industries are going to be going down. It's already happening anyway. Big corporations are going to be going down. So as a result, many people who are used to working for salaries, working in big corporations, they're not going to have the same opportunities. We are being asked to step forward on an individual Aquarius level to help serve the collective, and it's going to happen on a kind of digitalized level. And it's going to be about self-employment. It's going to be about sharing and optimizing your unique gifts and sharing them with the world. So it's going to be less about learning from the powers that be and all the structures and the corporations that have controlled us. It's going to be about peer learning, and we're already seeing that anyway. But from 2021 onwards, I mean, everything is going to be moving super, super fast. So it's about really kind of finding your own unique truth and really sharing that with the world on a digital platform. And like I said, it's already happening now, you know, because in these times we're already realizing that we don't need to be traveling very far to be making meetings, to go to meetings. We can do everything on Zoom. We can do so much on the internet now, and as a result, you know, people are going to be working from home. People aren't going to be traveling so much. Everything's going to be happening very quickly, and so there's going to be entire industries that are going to be falling as a result of this. So I'm talking about the banking industry. I'm talking about retail. I'm talking about real estate, because if people aren't traveling for work, then who's going to rent your property? I'm talking about mining, because young people, they don't give a shit about diamonds anymore. People's values are changing. It's the truth. And that's not to say, of course, that there's going to be no more banking, but ultimately there's going to be less people needed to do the jobs that were being done before. And so, for example, HR, forget about it, because, you know, less workers, no need. So what we are looking at is moving into a completely different mindset, where we're not basically working for these big companies, these big structures. They're going to be decimated. There's not going to be these old, outdated structures, and also mindless consumerism, because there's going to be less shops. And there's going to be less money going around initially. It's going to be about making your own activity to help inspire and teach others. Like I said, this is going to be the era of peer learning, learning from each other, bringing your own individuality, who you really are, to the table in order to make a difference. And not for the sake of money, and not for the sake of ego or anything like that. This is going to be for the sake of coming together as a global community, and for the sake of helping each other and to help each other grow. And also, apparently, in the air era, it's going to be a time of clean and free energy, like the rise of solar power. So you're going to be able to take your laptop wherever you want to. You're going to be able to go to the mountains. You're going to be able to do all that kind of thing and not have to worry about plugging it in, because things are going to be completely different. So, this is huge, and we need to find the courage within to really kind of shift and not expect things to go back to how they were, but to really start to think now, not in a few months' time. Think now, who are you? This goes back to what I was saying in my other talk as well. Who are you? Who are you really? You know, when it all comes down to it, what is your essence? What can you really offer to the world? And really start to think about it and how you can put that out there to serve and to inspire others. Because old, outdated structures, we're not going to be looking, we're moving into a completely different paradigm. And you know what, this is not something I've just learned, I've just been learning from an astrological perspective from May. You know, this is something that has been shown to me by through my ceremonies and with my ceremonies with Ayahuasca and my own inner understandings, that we are, okay, so it's in a new modern world, but we are effectively going back to the old ways on so many levels. And if you think about it, this is all about reclaiming our own personal power. You know, for so long we have given it up to the powers that be. You know, when the church really took over the government, the media, all telling us what to think, all telling us what to do. And now actually they're all going, and we're going to need a new reference point, and that reference point is our own inner authority and each other. So we have to really dig deep and really find the strength and the courage, I believe, to really know who we are and be prepared to put that out there and just do it. It's a really exciting time, and we're going back to our own inner authority. We're going back to our own inner wisdom, because that was taken away from us. You know, that we were suddenly told what to believe. We were given rules and regulations, whereas before, in ancient times, when we followed our own protocol and ancient wisdom, we followed the laws of the universe and we followed the laws of nature, and we were very in tune with the natural world and with nature, with the planets, with the plants, and we knew how to behave, we knew how to be. And then suddenly that was all taken away from us by patriarchal structures and corporations and governments that sought to control us, that sought to take our power. And we've given it to them willingly, to be honest with you, because on so many levels it's easier, isn't it? It's easier to sit back and complain about what's going on. Oh, we're being treated like this, and then just get on with it, because then we don't have to do anything. And most importantly, then we don't have to run the risk of really being seen. You know, because we're all completely different. And I said in my other video, you know, we've all got completely different charts, completely different psyches, and we've all got completely unique gifts to give to the world. And we need to find that freedom within. You know, we're actually moving towards great egalitarianism, great personal freedom. And actually it's scary. It is scary. I was freaking scared, you know, when I actually started to really delve deeper into shamanic ceremonies, and I started to be shown lots of different things. I won't go into that now, but I have some stories for you. But I was not happy whatsoever, and there were many occasions where I was literally kicking ayahuasca out of my psyche, saying, no, I'm not doing that. I don't agree. My mind wanted to stay in control. I wanted to really stay clutching on to who I thought I was. I didn't want to let go. I didn't want to be free. And how ironic is that, because I'd always thought of myself as being such a free person, but no. And I think that applies to most of us, you know, to some degree. Being controlled is very comfortable. And I know that's a bitter reality to swallow. But it's true. I mean, I've experienced it myself, and I always considered myself to be completely free, but actually no. I didn't want to shine my own light. I didn't really want to come out there and say, this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is what I know, and this is what I'm here to do. I was like, no way. But this is the time we are being called. The earth is calling us back to ourselves. Basically, it's really, really beautiful It's really beautiful, and we are very blessed. We are very blessed. We are being called to align ourselves back with the natural world, with the plants. We are being called to ultimately to use natural plant medicines instead of being pumped with synthetic drugs. We're going to be using more and more psychedelic medicines, psychedelic teacher plants, instead of going to psychiatrists that prescribe, guess what, synthetic drugs. There's nothing wrong with you. You are unique. This is the problem, you know. Just if you think that you don't fit in, or you think, never mind, I won't go into that. But yes, we're going to be going back to aligning ourselves with nature. And because I'm talking about nature, I'm also talking about our own inner nature. We're going to be going deeply. Those who get through this, those who are willing to transition into the air era, are going to be those who are able to really dig deep and access their own inner nature and be prepared to know themselves and show themselves. And on a very deep level, because, you know, we are part of nature. And in amongst that, I'm also talking about, as well as our relationship with the natural world, I'm talking about our relationship with our own bodies. When in relating to others, I'm talking about the way in which we express our natural sexuality. There's been so much shame placed around that, which has also controlled us, because then so much stuff is repressed, which has given rise to so much toxicity in the system, which has then given rise to the toxicity we've seen in our outer world. It all comes from within. And because all of these structures, these corporations, these governments, because there's going to be a huge crumbling, we're going to be needing another anchor point, we're going to be needing another reference point. So there's going to be a return also to old ancient belief systems, and so we're going to be using astrology more and more to help us navigate in the future. So it's some incredible changes, really kind of reclaiming our personal power, going back to the old ancient ways of being, but of course in a modern way. So using technology, the whole world is going to be able to teach each other, inspire each other, and grow together as a collective community. And you need to be part of that. We all need to be part of that. So yes, that is the bare bones. I say bare bones, it's been half an hour. And I hope I haven't spooked you too much. And if I have, then good, be spooked. Get moving, get going, you know, be big, be you. I mean, the world needs you. And these are really exciting times. I just want to say, I don't know, fly. This is our time to fly, really. Yes, we're shifting into like incredibly exciting times. But just to recap on what May said, I just want to, stipulate that according to her calculations, June and July are going to be the months where things start to look, things are going to go back to normal, but they're not. And as of August, things are going to start happening at breakneck speed, and the whole systems are going to be crumbling. So we need to start thinking in a completely different mindset. We need to start thinking in a different way. We need to start moving. We need to start trusting our gut instincts. We need to start working with technology and thinking about what we can offer to the world, because there's going to be a lot less big businesses, you know. There's going to be a lot less big brands. It's all going to be about individual products. Does that all make sense? I hope so. If you've got any questions about any of this, because I feel like I've spoken, I've kind of squashed a lot in quite a relatively short amount of time, and I've spoken about quite a lot of different things as well. So if you have any questions, then just leave me a comment, let me know your thoughts. And if you do want to know more about this elemental, this groundbreaking, this cataclysmic shift into the air era, then sign up to May's talk May's webinar, 6-hour webinar. It's happening on the 25th of April. And more details, more information. I mean, it's so fascinating, really, when you really kind of look at all the astrological patterns and how everything's working in sync. And these are times that are meant to happen, you know. Actually, it's painful. There's going to be suffering, but ultimately this is for the benefit of all who are willing to shift along with the earth, or with the will of the divine, actually. And this is what I firmly believe. So on that note, I love you all, biggest blessings to you all, and I guess I will see you soon. Okay, much love. Bye.